Chapter 14, Guna Traya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of understanding the three modes of material nature. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Gaurava Narasingha Maharaja iti namane. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namane. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Verse 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Parambuya Pravakshami Ganam Uttamam Yajnatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddham Ito Gataha. Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, I will now describe to you that knowledge which is the greatest of all types of knowledge. By knowing this, all the sages were able to attain perfection and reach the highest destination. Verse 2. Idam ganam upashritya mama sadharmyam agataha sarge pino pajayante pralayena viatanti cha. By taking shelter of this knowledge, one attains my nature. He is neither born during creation, nor does he suffer during universal annihilation. Anuriti by Srila Guru Maharaj. In previous chapters, the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, sattvaguna, rajaguna, and tamaguna, have been mentioned, and in this chapter they will be described in greater detail. It will also be described how one can cross beyond the material modes and become free from the cycle of birth and death. Verse 3. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbam dadam yaham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. O Bharat, the vast expanse of material nature is my womb, which I impregnate and wherefrom all living beings manifest. Verse 4. Sarva yonishu kanteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasman brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradapita. O son of Kunti, all forms of life that are born in this world are ultimately born from the great womb of material nature, and I am the seed-giving father. Verse 5. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehi nam avyayam. Goodness, passion, and ignorance are the modes born of material nature. These modes bind the immutable individual being to the material body, O mighty armed hero. Verse 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam nanamayam sukha sangena badnati ganam sangena chanaga. O virtuous Arjuna, amongst these modes, goodness is free from impurities. It gives knowledge and frees one from distress. It conditions one to pleasure and knowledge. Verse 7. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sangha samudvavam tani badnati konteya karma sangena dehinam. O son of Kunti, you should know that the mode of passion manifests desire, hankering, and attachment. It binds the embodied living beings to their actions. Verse 8. Tamastvajnana jamvidhi mohanam sarva dehinam pramadalasha nidrabis tani badnati bharata. You should know that the mode of ignorance bewilders all embodied beings, O Bharat. It binds them through confusion, laziness, and excessive sleep. Verse 9. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajakarmani bharata Jnanam avrichatu tamaha pramade sanjayat yuta. O Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, the mode of passion creates attachment to perform action, and the mode of ignorance covers knowledge and creates bewilderment. Verse 10. Rajastamas chabibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata Rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamasattvam rajastata. Goodness overpowers passion and ignorance. Passion defeats goodness and ignorance overcomes goodness and passion. Thus the modes continually fight for supremacy. Anuvriti by Srila Guru Maharaj. Material nature is compared to a womb, and Sri Krishna says that he is the seed-giving father. Aham bija pradapita. The combination of material nature and the living beings thus gives rise to the multitude of life forms, which are in turn bound by the modes of material nature and forced to act under their influence. The mode of goodness is characterized by freedom from impurities. That which gives knowledge frees one from distress and conditions one to pleasure and accomplishment. Passion manifests intense desire, hankering, and attachment, and binds the embodied being to his actions. Ignorance is that which bewilders all embodied beings and constrains one through confusion, laziness, and excessive sleep. The three modes of material nature thus condition one to the illusion of happiness, the attachment to perform action, and bewilderment due to an insufficient fund of knowledge. The combination of the modes of nature are endless, each fighting with the other for supremacy. Due to this, the embodied living beings are in a constant state of confusion as to the purpose of life, and the consequence is the suffering of birth, death, old age, and disease. Verse 11. Sarvadvareshu dehismin prakasha upajayate janam yada tada vidyad viridam sattvam ityuta. When the light of knowledge illuminates all the senses of the body, it should be understood that the mode of goodness is most prevalent. Verse 13. Aprakasho pravritischa pramado moha evacha tamasyettani jayante vivride kuru nandana. O descendant of Kuru, by the influence of the mode of ignorance, then darkness, laziness, confusion, and delusion are manifest. Verse 14. Yada sattve pravrittetu pralayam yadi deha brita tadatama vidam lokan amalam pratipadyate. When an embodied being dies under the influence of the mode of goodness, he reaches the higher planets, wherein those of great intellect reside. Verse 15. Rajashi pralayam gatva karma sangi shujayate tata pralinas tamasi mudayoni shujayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he is reborn amongst those who are attached to worldly activities. If one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth again in the womb of unintelligent people. Anuvriti by Srila Guru Maharaj. In the above 5 verses, the characteristics of the 3 modes of nature are further described, as well as their influence over the embodied living being at the time of death. When one dies in the mode of goodness, illuminated by knowledge, he reaches the higher planets, where those of great intellect reside. When one dies in the mode of passion, characterized by greed, selfish activities, ambition, restlessness, and hankering, he is reborn amongst those who are attached to worldly activities. And when the most unfortunate amongst men die in the mode of ignorance, characterized by darkness, laziness, confusion, and delusion, they take birth again in the womb of uncivilized people, or even worse, descend into the animal kingdom to become dogs, cats, and beasts of burden.